Okay, we are recording. Ariana, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. Where are you right now?
I'm currently in Brooklyn, in New York.
What time is it out there?
What time is it right now? 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Oh, that's not too bad then. That's not too bad.
That little early afternoon chat, right? It's like early evening there, right? Six
That's
something?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, let's jump straight into your playlist. And I ask guests first when they come on the show to tell me the song that they regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
So I couldn't just pick one song, and it's funny because I'm not really like a rock gal, but all of my songs are like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. I just feel like I said Welcome to the Jungle. Like what an insane intro. Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin that has that like iconic, the like to me those are just intros that they're multi-generational. I also in a total left turn feel that like Vanessa Carlton's A Thousand Miles is like a really iconic intro, so I've sort of accidentally given you multiple, but to me I couldn't pick one because I just every I listened to all of them as I was like thinking of what I thought, and every time the intro came in I was like bopping along.
Okay, right. Well, look, I'll tell you what, right? You've been on the podcast 3 minutes and you broke the rules already, right?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So, no, that doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it, right? So, you can have some honourable mentions there, right? For someone that says they're
Okay,
not a
okay,
rock
my
girl, you've just rattled off loads of rock songs,
I
right?
did, I did.
So, I need you to pick one that's going to
One.
go on the playlist.
Then I'm picking Welcome to the Jungle.
Good shot. Good shot. Well, look, let's talk intros because I'm always interested how creative people approach intros in their work. And tell me a little bit about how you approach it because a lot of the tracks that you've mentioned, Welcome to the Jungle being a prime example, um, when that was released in, what was that, maybe 87, 88, and obviously you mentioned Zeppelin and such, which is, way before that.
Yep.
Um, that was in a world where artists were given way more freedom
Sure
and could
was.
be way more expressive and could have 2 minute intros to songs. Whereas now your record label's going to go, you're on Spotify and you are alongside a gazillion other tracks that are coming out every single hour. You need to grab them
Yep.
right from the off. We live in a world of TikTok and everything that is so these rapid thumbs just keep swiping. And I wonder, having a love of the tracks that you've just mentioned that have these vast, expansive intros, whilst we're discussing this in 2026 in a world where everything moves so quick, everything is so bite sized. Tell me
Yep.
about how you approach intros to your work.
It's a really good question. I feel like it's something that we talk about a lot when I'm in the studio with songwriters and producers. Andy Highmore is the person who produced my last record, and co-produced it with a really great musician named Spencer Zahn. And we all talked about this a lot actually because it's like you're constantly weighing what as an artist what you think the song should have versus sort of like the commercial impact and exactly what you're talking about. I've decided now that I think I'm just going to make the intros I want to make because ultimately if the song's going on TikTok or whatever, that's not even the intro anyway. The 30 seconds that might be the TikTok trend or whatever that you're going for, that's not going to be the intro. And I think that we're increasingly moving back toward people caring about albums
Do you think
and the
so?
analog. I think so. Yeah. I think that obviously I think the bigger artists will always have those luxuries that artists that aren't broken
Yeah.
won't have. I think that like a Beyonce can put out, she could pull out, Rihanna could put out, like a complete concept album and everyone's going to listen to the whole thing. But I think that as we like increasingly move toward like AI music and whatever, my hope and my optimism is that you'll see the alternate side happening, the humanness of music, which I think will maybe like reopen the door to people loving a long intro. There's always outliers. There's an artist named Ethel Kane that's had a really amazing year this year, and like her intros are like 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, and that song
Yeah.
was a hit in the sense of millions of streams on Spotify. So I'm increasingly moving toward make music for your audience, not looking for the widest audience, and you'll find your people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I agree completely with what you say there because there's a band in the UK called Primal Scream, and
Yeah, I love Primal Scream.
and Primal Scream of I remember hearing an interview once with Alan McGee, Creation Records, and he signed so many iconic uh, British artists from Oasis to you name it, Primal Scream being one of them. Um, and he said that they basically just targeted the following that they wanted, and they will for the rest of their career sell the same amount of music for everything they do. Whereas some artists may chase something that's quite fashionable and they will go and cast the net wide. They might have that, but it might not have the longevity. Whereas I think if you're precious with your following and you target them and and you don't compromise what you do, then I think they're with you for life.
I agree with that. And I think increasingly that's the case, right? You look at even someone who had like I mean, truly a banner year, like a Charlie XCX with
Mm.
Brad. But that was an album that was made for a niche audience, an audience that she had been cultivating, which she talks openly about, trying to like placate to different kind of sides of pop through her career. And then sort of over the last several years, it says, I'm just going to make things for this niche audience. And then, of course, lo and behold, she makes something that then ultimately expands her audience tenfold and becomes whatever. But I think that to me, I would rather have a smaller, very engaged fan base than a broader, sort of lukewarm group of people that don't care, or could take it or leave it, I guess is a better way to put it. So, and the internet has like democratized things in a great way, but also, there's more noise. So I'm always a proponent of what you're saying. Find your people and then make things for those people. And everybody else is going to find their people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell me the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
I said Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas. I was a kid and I just remember being like, oh my God. I just remember listening to that. I think it's Vanessa Williams who sings that. And I just remember being like really moved by it, which sounds sort of funny. I must have been so young. And I just like the message and the music and the imagery. As a child, I think I just was like really, I just remember looking at it and being like, wow, that's amazing. Just really being moved, not probably even realizing clearly the like larger storytelling that's happening in that song,
Sure.
but just falling in love with the melody. I mean, I'm a theater person, so clearly my roots were instilled really young.
If you had to pinpoint what the emotion was, what do you think it was?
I think it was like one of the first things that I felt really pulled in toward. So I think it like stirred a sense of I guess like what's the word? I want to say like a depth, but that's not an emotion. It gave me um I think like a sense of like belonging and connection in a way where I was like, oh wow, like I think it moved me probably from like a purpose level of like, oh wow, like music can do this.
Yeah.
Even at a really young age, that like you understand, you're like, oh, that there's like a sense of something bigger, even though I was so little.
That's you'd be surprised. I'm nearly at 700 episodes of this show, and
Wow.
so many artists have struggled to answer that question and gone, oh, if I had to pinpoint it, yeah, and have lent into exactly what you've just said, which is it's the first time that maybe like you realize there's levels to music, and it's not just sounds. It's like, oh, there's something that's hitting here, not just the ears and making me want to dance. It's like it's getting me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kept wanting to sort of like grab where my like stomach, where my intuition
Yeah,
is, you know, and I think that that's what's amazing about music is that it can do that in a way that, you know, visuals can't.
yeah,
And I think film and television have their own language that taps into things and human experience. But I think music can do like a few things at once. It can
yeah.
be it can be euphoric and melancholy. It can be
Absolutely.
nostalgia, but it can feel like so present. You know, I think that that's music has a duality that I think like the everyday human experience has, and there's a reason why you don't have to understand the language or know anything, and something can just hit you. And I think maybe that was the beginning of me even realizing that I loved that was
Yeah.
something I wanted to make. I didn't know that at, you know, 5 or 6, but I clearly it was happening already.
Well, take me back to them times for a while around, and tell me what was home like? Was and where was it? And was it a musical environment?
I grew up in the suburbs of New York. I grew up on Long Island, and I was performing from like a really young age. I loved music. I remember I heard like the Peanuts song on the radio, you know, the da 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 da, and I came home and I we had a piano in my house, and I just like sat down and from ear started playing it. And of course, like bless my mother, she was like, "Oh, okay, so she's musical." Like she like, you know, and I was, you know, they put me in dance classes, and I was fortunate to try stuff and just immediately loved performing. And my home was not like we weren't like playing music. I come from an Italian family. My dad is an Italian immigrant. My mother is second generation Italian. So it was the sounds in my house were always like in the kitchen, cooking, everybody talking, you know. So um I found performance to actually be like I would sort of be off like in my room or something, you know, in my world. Music became my sort of like my quiet place away from, you can
Sure.
imagine Italian families, a lot of chatting. So it was like sort of my alternate space, and that was kind of how I found my way, I think, toward loving all of that. And my family, my I always like to say like my dad is a performer, but only in that like he's telling you a story at dinner. You know, like I saw that sort of way of being. Um and so yeah, they've always been super supportive. They've always been like hauling me around to whatever classes I wanted to take. And I mean, God, they went to like 100 dance recitals, bless them. And they still are, you know, they're still coming to my shows and stuff. So yeah, it was interesting. No one else in my family was a musician. My brother plays guitar for fun, but um, it was always a very animated house.
Yeah. Tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
Oh, I said anything Britney Spears. I mean, I remember listening to her first album on the bus. I would take the bus to school and I would just listen to the whole album front to back. And I'm a millennial, so I think that any young millennial girl, I mean, that was like she was everything. It was the Baby One More Time album. And I recently actually took a trip with a girlfriend of mine. We went to Italy, and she's my age, and we had never talked about this. And we've never discussed what we listened to. And one day we were sitting in our hotel, and I started singing Britney Spears' last track on her album, Dear Diary, and I started singing it, and my friend started singing it with me, and we sang the song in its entirety a cappella, both of us remembering every word. And it was such a like, oh, that was your school experience too, like that. We have never talked about that. We've been friends for like 15 years, and it was like, oh, of course, like she soundtracked our, you know, lives, our middle school
Yeah.
lives. um you know, the lyric is like, so today I saw a boy, like that, you know, those were the lyrics. It was so made for that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just she's a queen. I just love her.
Ain't it crazy that, like, you know, I struggle to remember like what I done last week, but
Totally.
I could sing a song from an album that I was obsessed with when I was 10 years old. Like you say, it's
It
just
was
in
it
there.
was crazy. Like literally the two of us sitting singing the song a cappella every word. We have never discussed this before.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun moment of how, those things just like stick with you. I haven't sung Dear Diary by Britney Spears maybe since I was 12.
It's crazy,
Um
isn't it?
it's crazy. And it's just it's like in your psyche, those songs.
Yeah.
And I would listen to, I had the CD, the jewel case with the, God, I miss all that stuff, like, and it would have the lyrics and different things, and I remember with my Walkman, I just loved it.
Did you enjoy school?
I, I wasn't like obsessed with school, but I had to work hard in school. I wasn't like a naturally, it didn't come like naturally to me in terms of like my grades or my work or whatever. But I always enjoyed, like I didn't mind studying. I actually kind of liked all of that, and I liked the social aspect of school. Um, but I knew I wanted to perform from like a pretty young age. I figured out around like 11 or 12 that I wanted to perform, and I was like a child actor. So I started working pretty young, and I started going into New York City, and I got my first acting job when I was 12. So school sort of became like I was constantly negotiating like school and working. And it was like a non-negotiable for my parents, obviously, that I would be taking school seriously. So I enjoyed it. I think I always sort of just wanted to be like in a singing class or a dance class
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way more fun than the academic stuff, right?
I mean, I got myself out of sports. I was like, well, I'm going to dance class. I like negotiated with like the head of the school, which was
Yeah.
says a lot about me at like 11. I was like, well, I'm getting my physical activity, and they were like, we can't deal with this girl. Just let her do it. So,
Love that.
yeah.
Love that. Okay. Ariana, tell me the first song you remember buying from a record store, please.
Oh, Show Me Love. Show Me Love by Robin was one of the first ones. It was a cassette, actually.
Hmm.
And this was sort of pre Robin her first go around, before the like Robin I think that really is sort of more mainstream now. Um, and she had her like little Bob. Uh, and I just loved that song. I love synth music. I love pop music. I couldn't have known then, but like Swedish made pop music is just, I think nobody does it better than the Swedes. They just know what they're doing.
100%. 100%.
It's just,
Right.
it's amazing. Their understanding of melody. I mean, of course, people like Max Martin and whatever have shaped pop music and what we know sort of as like hit after hit. But I just loved it. I just loved the sounds and the vibes, and yeah, that was the first cassette I ever bought.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much incredible music. I mean, you want to start talking about, those places, that part of Europe. I mean, going back, look at ABBA,
I know.
they shaped pop music and still continue to shape pop music.
I
And
mean, the influence, the chord progressions, the sounds, the way that synths were used.
harmonies, insane.
People had never done stuff like that. I mean, in the science of it, when you hear people like producers talk about those things and how the chord progressions change going into a pre-chorus and then the release of a chorus, like it all seems so simple, but it's hardest to do
Yeah.
that. Like creating something simple is the hardest thing to do. And Swedish people, I've been fortunate enough to get to write in Sweden, and they just have it. There's just like something about the way that they understand that. I feel that they do it the best.
Yeah. And Robin's the queen of it as well.
Oh my God.
She's just announced a huge tour, and
Oh,
she's coming to
I
the
know it.
UK. So
She's coming to the States
yeah.
too. I just got an email about her pre-sale tickets. I will be there. I will be
Oh,
at that.
sign me up. Literally, I suppose it was about 3 or 4 months ago. All of a sudden, something just pops up on my Instagram. And I was like, that's Robin and David Byrne doing
Yeah.
Talking Fucking Heads. What the hell is going on? It blew my mind. It was like, oh my God, two people that are just incredible. And now just
Yeah.
doing it was amazing, absolutely
Such a
amazing.
cool
Yeah,
combo. David Byrne, I feel like, does such a cool job of that too, like with his collaborations and stuff, and how he like iterates and is always sort of working with other artists. I
yeah,
love that he does that.
yeah.
He's always collaborating with people in such interesting ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, well, from the record store, let's go clubbing. And I want you to tell me, please, the song that's, I mean, I say has soundtracked your years clubbing. You're still brand new. You can still go clubbing. So tell me the song that soundtracked or is soundtracking your time.
Well, I mean, we sticking on our Robin train, the Robin resurgence then was my clubbing. So Dancing on My Own is my club song. I mean, and Call Your Girlfriend, that whole sort of like Robin era when she came back with Body Talk Part 1 and Part 2. But I mean, when I was in college and graduating college, Dancing on My Own was like it was when it was like breaking. Now it's sort of like I feel like it's this iconic song, but I just remember being in the club and hearing that come on, and the room would go insane. Like it, especially that bridge when it does the like ba-da-da-da-da-da, and they would do all the lights. Like it was just it still does it.
Yeah,
Like when she does her
absolutely.
concerts, and I mean it's timeless. But when it first came out and everybody was sort of discovering it, and I remember there was a show called Girls on HBO that used that, and that became like a big. It was like it just had this sort of. I feel like it's continued to do it, but it sort of had this snowball effect where it was like underground in the clubs, then it was in the mainstream, then it was on TV, then and it was like, and I had loved her since I was
Yeah,
10 years old or whatever, so it felt like everyone's discovering like your favorite, like your best friend.
yeah.
And I just, yeah, there was just something so cool about it, and that song still does that. It still does that now.
Hugely. As does every heartbeat as well. It's just,
Oh, so good. I mean, that whole era where she really came back was such an incredible rebrand. And I remember even seeing the Call Your Girlfriend music video, which is a one take video of her in a sound stage, and they do all the like lighting in the studio and stuff, and she's just dancing. And I remember looking at that and being like, I want to do that. I want to make
yeah,
stuff like that. So again, so simple. I mean, and Call Your Girlfriend, those songs from a songwriting perspective, obviously you had I forget who it was, Callum something did
Callum
a
Scott.
Callum Scott did the Dancing on My Own, was it?
Yeah.
And like
Have
it
you
just
heard the Kings of Leon do it?
yes, I have. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. The songwriting, I mean, it just highlights the songwriting and the heartbreak. But I always thought Call Your Girlfriend was such a like a clever, how they're basically having an affair, and
Yeah,
she's like call her and tell her it's over. You met somebody. It's just so good. But I think Dancing on My Own really encapsulates that like quintessential like 20s feeling, right? Where I mean, I think it captures it in every generation, but you're so sort of like self-important in your 20s, you know what I mean? Where
of
you're just like,
course.
this is my feeling, you're so sure no one's ever been through what you've been through. And I think that song really, yeah, it just has all the things we were talking about, like before, back to Colors of the Wind, where
Yeah,
it's like, it holds several things at once. And I think that's why it hits.
absolutely, absolutely. I said to you earlier, I've had nearly 700 episodes of this show recorded now. No one's ever chose Robin, and I have been waiting for about 5 years to get overexcited about Robin and how fucking incredible she is. But no one has picked Robin yet. So,
Well,
thank
here I
you.
am. Oh my God, that's crazy. No one's picked
I
Robin. I
know.
mean, and I think also what's cool about her, sort of on a separate note, is that she found sort of this like resurgence of success in her 30s.
Yeah,
And then now, I don't know how old she is now, but how she just keeps getting sort of like more and more well known. This will be the biggest tour she's ever done in her career. I just think that's such a cool testament to sort of breaking down these like stereotypes about women specifically in the music industry, and she's always done that. Even I mean, I'm obsessed with her. She's like one of my like top 5 artists of all time, as you can tell. But like I know that even when she did like her deals with her labels, it was like a licensing deal rather than full 360 deal. Like she's really just an artist that said, I'm going to do this my way. And I think it's really cool to see her continue to grow. which is like so
Absolutely.
against what, the music industry tries to say will happen with artists as they age.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree anymore. Right, we've been clubbing. We're going to take you home now, and we're going to take you home to your home county, and uh, and so I'm going to ask you now to tell me a track from an artist from your home
From
city. Yeah, be city,
my
wasn't
home
it?
city. You said my home country, but then I sort of said my home city,
You said
which, okay.
city, but you read it
I
wrong. It is
Oh, did it say city? I read it. Oh, I read it as country. Okay, great.
it's
Because
okay.
I said,
I'll tell you another little secret, right? Of them 700 shows, I reckon I've had this conversation about it was county rather than country about 680 times. So don't
oh,
worry, you're not on your own.
well, it's actually funny you say that because I literally, my answer was like, I know he said country, but I'm going to go city.
Yeah.
Which actually, my original answer was Lady Gaga, You and I, but I actually think I'm going to change it. I think I'm going to change it to be, my favorite song. I think I'm going to change it to be Billy Joel, New York State of Mind. I think I'm going to change it to be that, which might be cheesy, but I do love it, and
If
I
you're
think
gonna go New York, you go Billy Joel,
I'm
right?
gonna go New York. You know what I mean? Obviously, you could do like Frank Sinatra, which obviously, of course, but Billy Joel's like so from New York, you know? So obviously, Lady Gaga, You and I is one of my favorite songs, but we're gonna go Billy Joel, New York State of Mind, because he's just he's the king of New York musicians. I think he's the, we claim him, we love him. I feel like no one else loves him as much as we do. So I feel like it's important he goes on the list.
Great shout, great shout. Okay, right, Ariana, this is your last track, and
Yes.
this is your opportunity to tell the listeners of this show a track that you think they may not know that you would like them to hear.
Yes. Reba McEntire, Fancy.
Now, I'd never heard this either. So tell,
It's so good.
I've listened to it. I've listened to it since when I got your list over. I went and had a listen, and yeah, I get it. It's cool. Tell the listeners a little bit about Reba, because talented person, right?
Oh no, you cut out. What did you say? Tell
Oh,
listeners about Reba.
yeah, talented person, right? TV, music,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Country gal, which is why I felt like it was sort of here I am being like Britney, Robin. Fancy is just such a good, just the lyrics, everything. Like I'm thinking, hey, fancy don't get, like just so like I just love that song. I'm not even, I mean, I think Reba's iconic as far as like country music goes, and um she's had a career, she's like had a multi-generational career, and um I my best friend is like a country, she's like from Texas, she's obsessed with country music. We talk about this all the time, where I'm just like, I love country. I respect country, especially like old school country, Loretta Lynn, those people, but it's not my go-to genre.
Yeah,
Um, but there's just something about Fancy, and she and I, maybe it has to do with she and I would put it on in the car, and me and my best, it was like our country song that we both would get like equally excited about. But I think the lyrics are great. Like she's sort of saying like fancy, like we're gonna move, like we're like you're gonna move uptown. She's saying like you're gonna make it. Like it's just I just think the melody is a banger. I just love it. Which is, I think, is something you wouldn't think that for me, you know? You just wouldn't imagine me singing Fancy, but if it comes on, it's also my karaoke song. I would do that as a karaoke song.
love it. Love it. Well, look, we make it nice and easy for people to go and check it out, and all the other songs that we've spoken about today. Because we put a little Spotify playlist together with all these tracks on it, so people can go and check it out. Um, Look, we have spoken about so many other people's creative endeavors and achievements and what's happening. What's happening with you?
What's happening with me? I am currently touring and performing my one woman show called The Breakup Variety Hour, which is also an album that I put out in October. It's it's a concept album based off of the live show. So the album is the show is the album. It's 6 steps to get you over a breakup, uh, in the vein of the Cher show. So it's inspired by like all of this sort of broad, a lot of New York gals like a Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, the Cher show. Um, and it charts sort of like putting yourself back together after heartbreak. So it's comedy and pop songs, and it was sort of born out of me wanting to make something that still had my like pop music and my synth roots, but was sort of a larger idea. So I've been really lucky to get to perform it. I toured it across the US last year, and then I'm bringing it to the Melbourne Comedy Festival in Australia, and I'll be touring it in the UK and maybe bringing it to Edinburgh Fringe in August. So I'm very excited.
Fantastic. Now, Ariana, if people in the UK, predominantly most of my listeners are UK based, and if they're not, then what's the one-stop shop where people need to go to keep up to speed with tour dates, releases, and such?
They can go to my website, which is arianaandtherose.com, or they can check out my Instagram has everything. I don't know when this episode is coming out, but I will be on tour in the UK, actually, opening for a great friend of mine, Bright Light, in March. We're playing dates across the UK, March 9th to the 18th. I don't know if this is coming out before then.
It'll be out in 3 weeks, so...
Oh,
yep.
Perfect. Well, then if you're in the UK, we're doing London, Manchester, Brighton, Glasgow. I'm really excited. I haven't toured in the UK for a while, and it's going to be really fun.
Fantastic. Ariana, it's been an absolute joy talking records with you. And I've got to get carried away and excited about Robin. So thank you ever so much for that.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This has been such a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure was all mine, mate. And I'm going to press stop on this, but don't go anywhere.
Okay.